Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 540 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined as always by Ben Askren and Stephen Kyle Brackey, representing the Ohio Bobcats. 540, this is my area code. This is Churchville.
I feel like this is familiar.
Yes, this is Deerfield, Virginia, Swope, Churchville, Stanton. Oh, yeah.
It covers a lot of area. I just looked it up.
Oh, it's huge. Well, it's based on, population density, so.
Sure.
Makes
it's
a lot
also
of sense.
Johnny from Roanoke's zip code.
Yeah, I know. It is.
Area code, I mean.
It is. That's how I solved that great caper. That genius called from his actual cell phone, so I had that for a while. That was a lot of fun. So, yes, very special episode for just that reason. Other than that, there's nothing else special other than it's three buddies talking some wrestling. And we have once again, I believe, come up with enough to talk about for the show. Okay, so we're getting we're not going to have to just have a 20-minute show. We keep doing it. I feel confident we're going to have a real show, Ben.
Well, you know what? We haven't went. I don't think we've went under an hour and 15 minutes. And I always thought, dude, we've had 6 wrestling matches over the course of very literally the last, 5 months.
Yeah.
And I thought we were going to run out of something to talk about, but somehow, some way we haven't. And the end is in sight because there's quite a bit of stuff scheduled for October. Not a lot of stuff scheduled for September, but there is a lot of stuff scheduled for October.
Yes. So October will be great. But looking forward to that. And yeah, it's every show has been sort of long. We don't ever come in. I would have no problem if the show was 40 minutes long and we just hopped off. It wouldn't bother me at all. I wouldn't stretch it to get any amount of time, but it's just happened to work out that way. So it's all good stuff. Are you having an event, Ben? Are you just so desperate for your guys to have matches? You're just holding tournaments?
That's literally what it is. Well, so we're actually on our 4th tournament this Sunday. So we did free ones for only AWA members, just so our guys could get matches. Mm-hmm. So we did 2 in July, we did 2 in August, and this one is actually serving as a wrestle off for the dual teams that we're doing in September and October. So this one has a little bit of extra meaning. And then yes, in October we are bringing in a bunch of teams from around the Midwest to wrestle us because we needed some really good competition. And my biggest thing is our best guys aren't getting the really high quality matches that they would have, right? Because their last tournament was the high school state tournament. They have not gotten to wrestle at Folkstyle Nationals or UWW Cats or UWW Juniors or Fargo or Junior Duels or State or anything like that, right? So, yes, we're bringing in a whole bunch of really good teams from the Midwest. It's going to be a really fun dual tournament. And then, after that, it appears there's going to be a bunch more wrestling tournaments after that as well.
Yes. Hopefully that all remains true. Obviously, October 3rd. Actually, October 2nd and 3rd could be really fun days here in Austin, Texas, and for Flow Sports. Because October 2nd, we're going to have Who's Number One Grappling, which they're getting ready to start announcing that card. You're going to really like that one. Nice. And then the very next day, October 3rd, Who's Number One for Flow Wrestling. Absolutely loaded card there. So that kind of kicks off October. We're going to have U23 and juniors. We're going to have the senior nationals in Coralville.
I'm still not convinced that's happening, Christian, because it's not on the calendar, damn it.
Until it's on the calendar, it's not real to Ben.
It's real to me.
It's real to me too.
It's not real to me yet.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get there. Bracky shared an amazing video in a text of someone swimming with an enormous great white shark. I don't know if Philip can pull it up. Were you freaking out?
I definitely would not have been swimming with that shark.
Who would have thought?
Forgot to turn your TV on, huh, Ben?
Oh, wow.
I did. I'm literally doing it live on air.
Wow.
Guys, show you guys the magic behind the scenes. My screen was a little off. I don't
know. I thought something was different, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I guess I'm not terribly observant.
Boom. Hey, there we go.
AWA, there you go.
I think I might have, usually I can see my background lights a little more, but I don't know, the lights may be too bright. Someone messed with the brightness of the lights or something? I don't know.
Oh, you look fine. It looks good. I think Philip. All right, here, check out this video. It's one of the biggest sharks ever seen.
I don't want to even watch.
Oh,
I'll never go swimming again.
Do you get that much anxiety? Look, the shark. This thing is harmless.
No, not
Harmless.
gonna do
Look at that thing. It's been torn to shreds.
Listen, he's not worried about a
Harmless.
human.
with all the
my
fighting
butt.
he's been doing.
He's looking for seals right now. He's not looking for a scuba diver. Okay, he's not trying to attack Scuba Steve. What's interesting is that this thing must be swimming so slow that the guy can just hold on. You're gonna miss the best part because he touched the fin. He touches the fin. Look,
This guy's an idiot. I'm not encouraging this guy's behavior.
just antagonizing the shark.
Why on God's green earth would you do that?
Why would you do that? I don't know. Look at the people. I would imagine, all the thrill-seeking things that people do, the skydiving and bungee jumping and basically Johnny DeJulius' life is what I'm referring to. Basically, all the choices he make are probably way more dangerous than this guy swimming adjacent to a giant great white shark. I bet all those things are statistically more dangerous than being near a shark. Have you ever attempted anything like thrill-seeking like that? Have you ever done skydiving?
Oh, one time I did paragliding. I didn't really love it.
Which one is that? Is that behind a boat or something?
That's no. Paragliding is it's not hang. So hang gliding is the more angled wing, and you go. Paragliding is like the parachute, but you run off a mountain and then you go and you fly and stuff.
You did that?
What?
You did that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not by myself. I mean, you have someone to help you.
You have like a guide or whatever?
You don't die. Yeah. My wife got her license to do it by herself, and she did do it by herself.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
The brave Amy Askren. Okay, cool.
Ah.
All right. Well, that's Shark Week on FloWrestling.
It was just Shark Week, like last week, maybe.
Yeah, I turned it on, and Mike Tyson was in a pool, and then he got out, and I was trying to understand what was, and I just stopped watching. And that's when I quit Shark Week. I was like, what is happening?
Because of Mike Tyson?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like such a gimmick. It's
They
like,
do celebrity stuff like that every now and then, but
Yeah.
well,
it's still
What do you
good
guys-
stuff.
What if we did something like Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. are boxing. Did you see this?
I knew Tyson
Allegedly.
was coming back. I didn't know that he was going to
Well-
fight Roy Jones Jr.
It's against Roy Jones Jr. And so apparently, though, it came out that the California athletic commissioner said that they weren't allowed to throw full power punches or something like that. Like they're not allowed to actually. It's an exhibition, not actually allowed to hurt each other. So what old wrestlers should we get in there? And this, so Kale, he ain't old enough to be in this.
No, he's still too good.
He's still too good. Like we're talking Tyson. I don't know, 55 maybe. How old is
Yeah.
Tyson? He's really old.
He's got to be 50 some. I mean, Rob Cole, like he talks about how he is just now coming to terms with the fact that he can't beat Kyle Dake. I think that's what he was talking about. But he still definitely wrestles.
I'm also still coming to terms with the fact that I can't beat Kyle Dake.
Yes, Bracky's slowly coming to terms. So I'd like to see
Rob Cole versus who?
maybe he's too big, but him versus Kevin Dresser, I think that would be hilarious.
Ooh, that'd be fun. I think he's too big though.
So I've never watched. Yeah, Dresser's probably not as big as Rob Cole, but apparently Coach Dresser has he had a bunch of I don't know, we would call them junk moves, but he had all in addition to the Dresser dump, of course, but he had a bunch of he was like Dylan Ness-esque, according to reports. Of course, I didn't get to watch him back in the day.
Never seen a real match. Hey, my buddy Mason Baumgartner's in the chat, and he killed it. It's obvious. It's Tom Brands versus John Smith.
Well, of course.
They're both in their 50s, right?
Yeah.
Aren't they?
John's a little older, but I think Tom is 50 now.
52 for Tom.
How old's John Smith? He's 55?
55.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fair. 52. That's only 3 years age different. I'm in for it.
Yeah. Who's in? Man,
Well,
they're both in pretty good
I'm gonna
shape.
go Terry Brands though. I'm gonna go Terry Brands.
Terry Brands is ready to go. He's good to go. Throw that dude in there. Man, that would be the best thing if one of these old timers entered the Open. And can you imagine? Just Terry.
I'm in. What?
Oh,
Why
man.
do we want them to enter the Open, Christian? Because then they don't get to make any money for that.
Okay,
if they
sure.
actually like wrestle a pro match, then you can get paid. They make money. It's
I
fantastic.
think CP just
Yeah, someone
wanted
else-
to see them beat up one of the
Yeah.
old dudes that walks in off
I
the
want to
street.
see him hit a roofer, and then they hit, then eventually they get like a guy that was like round of 12, and then it kind of moves up, and it's like, oh my gosh, Terry's wrestling Vito
Oh, you mean the
Arujau.
actual Open? I thought you were talking about like
You
Masters.
can make that weight class.
What?
Terry can't make that weight class.
Listen, this is very fake, Ben. I mean, we're not really plotting the Terry Brands comeback.
This one is real to me. Damn it! You guys
Okay.
can say fake all you want.
We
I'm
can
fucking
get
for
him
real.
down to 57. If it had to be done. 61, 65, whatever. It doesn't make a difference to me. He's going to get a roofer in round 1. We're going to see to it. And also, why don't we just pay Terry Brands $10,000 to enter the U.S. Open? That's fine. We'll pay him.
Okay, listen, Terry Brands, if you hear this, Flo has a check for you for $20,000. That's all. U.S. Open in Coralville, Iowa.
Stop by HR on your
and
way
if you
out.
win the Open, you have to try to make the team. There's no backing out, especially if you're going 65, because we haven't medaled there since Bill Zadek. So we need some help. If it's Terry Brands, it's Terry Brands.
Let's switch. Let's go Tom versus John Smith, and let's go Terry versus Kendall Cross.
Oh man.
Yeah.
If we're making the matchups, I just want to
Kendall's
see
in
them.
good shape. I just saw him with him a month ago. He looks kind of shredded still. He's ready to rumble.
Yeah, he for sure is.
Oh, someone said Terry versus Colat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm so in for that too.
Yeah.
Let's make a round robin with these guys.
Man, they're all kind of around the same size.
Christian,
too.
Christian, you could have a pro card with Terry Brands every single month, and people would be so in for it. Like
I know.
One month Terry wrestles John Smith. The next month it's Kendall Cross. The next month it's listen. These are gonna be like the best-selling events that you've ever done at Flow.
And then set up the grudge match: Terry versus Joe Smith, John Smith versus Nelson Brands. Okay, just get it all mixed up. Who's not watching that? Who's not watching?
Throw Leroy and Lubu in there.
Yeah, we could do that.
That's a forgotten piece of history. That one, like, they do the 30 for 30s. That's one I always pushed back in the day for Flo to go do a 30 for 30 on it because it's so fascinating to me.
Ben, we have
What?
and are continuing to try to do that. That is like the ultimate. That's like
Who doesn't want to do it?
It's the next Terry. Well, it's not. That's nobody's business. But it's like
Well, I want to badger them live on radio.
No, that's
doesn't wanna do
exactly
it?
why. That's why I didn't say who. And maybe it's here. Maybe it's external.
I actually don't know which side it would be on.
There you go.
Okay, so did people know that? Did people listening probably don't even know the
No,
Leroy Smith?
give them the cliff notes, Ben.
Yeah. Well, they wrestle a match. They have a winner. They go to court. They end up wrestling behind closed doors. A different person, Randy Lewis, wins behind closed doors, and then he goes on to win the Olympic gold medal in 1984.
Yes, over. So Leroy was the original winner. The thing gets litigated in court. I don't know if they changed the score in court or just made them wrestle again, but it's obviously extremely controversial thing. And Leroy went from the Olympian to off the team after losing a behind closed doors match, which is
Yes.
really wild.
And he would have won the gold medal that year, very likely.
Yes. I mean, obviously he was on the level of Randy Lewis for sure. So it's very, then there's so much, there's a lot of politics involved. It's a wild story, man. It's the story to tell.
Yeah.
Too.
You know how awesome that would be for like a 30 for 30? Oh my gosh, because you have so many really, really high level, interesting people involved in the whole thing.
Yeah, it was, Gable, it's Randy Lewis, Leroy Smith, John Smith. It's a veritable who's who. Yeah, we got to do it. We want to. We're still trying. We'll never give up. So yeah. Okay.
Bill Crumb's he says, I had to pick up one of the referees at LAX and bring him back to Big Bear for the re-wrestle. They had to re-wrestle the last 25 seconds or so.
How audacious. 25
So I thought
seconds.
they wrestled the whole match.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Bill Crumb knows. He would know.
Yeah. Wow.
What we need to
Now I'm all fired up for this Old Timers Pro Series.
Yeah, let's get Baumgartner versus Joel Greenlee again.
Let's run it back.
Run it back. The battle for mustache supremacy. See, I don't think Greenlee did he have the mustache in the...
He's had it since high school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Stop.
That is commitment.
Never shaved. He's
The
never
only time he would shave it is literally he said back then in high school they weren't even allowed to have mustaches, so he would shave for the high school season.
So dangerous. I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay. So we are in the midst of a new project. Well, as you know, we're working on Metcalf. These projects are working in tandem, and Metcalf's going
ticking.
It's going fantastically. I've seen a rough string out of the whole thing, so it's very nearly finished.
Well, yeah, you should be pushing them if you get fired if they don't finish.
Yeah, that's true.
What I have till October 1st.
September 31st, it has to be done.
September
30th. September 30th.
No, 30. Remember, that's my way out. No, so episode 1 will be out before September 30th.
Oh my gosh! Did you see what Bill Crum just said in the chat?
Yeah.
No one was allowed in. No one knew the results until Lewis ran out of the gym.
Oh, that is so juicy, Piles. Get a video on this. No one.
Nobody was allowed.
So who was there? Just the referees?
Referees.
And the 2 athletes. Surely there's coaches.
I mean, sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're
yeah,
coaches,
but like as far as I think he's just referring to, there's no outside unless you were involved with the match, officiating or coaching or wrestling. You weren't allowed in.
Bill needs to elaborate here because it says no one. I would be curious. How many coaches did they each get? 2, 3? Is there a trainer? Anyone with a video camera?
No, definitely no video camera. I don't think so. Anyways,
they have video cameras in 1984, Christian. Is that possible?
I think they were.
I mean, I know they made movies and stuff, but do regular people have video cameras?
I wonder. I think probably so. My dad in the very early '90s had the one you put the whole VHS tape in. He had one of those, so I would imagine.
The real huge one, right?
It was big. It looked like he was with TV3 News. So as I was saying, we are trying. Bracky's just Googled when were video recorders invented? 1951.
Boom.
But when did they become a mainstream item? That's the real
1951, dude.
That's when everyone started having them, and now we just have them all on our phones. It's crazy. So the project is the greatest.
Coaches, refs, no spectators. From Bill Crum.
Just no spectators. Wow. Okay. So is that enough clarity there?
I wonder who was in Leroy Smith's corner because John's obviously a kid, right? He's only
Joe C. Maybe.
Age. Yeah, I mean John Smith's probably 19 years old at that time, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Joe C. Probably. Or is there someone else? And then in Lewis's corner is Gable and maybe Zaleski. I don't know.
Yeah, and at that point, would it be a J-Rob? Was he at Iowa at that point?
Maybe J-Rob.
Well, that would have been interesting.
The Brands brothers are only 14 at this point, just to give you guys some reference. 15 maybe.
Yeah, so
oh
they
my
don't
goodness.
know.
Wild.
Yeah.
Random, but I loved in the Terry film whenever Kendall Cross would refer to Tom and Terry as the Brands boys. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Chuck Yagla.
Chuck Yagla's in the chat?
Yes.
Yeah. Reel-to-reel tapes in my day.
Knows more.
Holy cow.
Gable
we got
was
all the participants.
Gable was the Olympic coach, so he wasn't allowed to coach.
Which is part of the whole controversy, right? Because he was
correct.
He obviously would have an affinity towards Randy Lewis.
Yes,
it's juicy. It's juicy. We want it to happen.
So juicy. Can't we do it, please?
We're working on it, buddy. As of this week.
Wait. Ross Patton says Lewis originally won the match, but my understanding is that's not the case. That Leroy Smith won the first match and went to court, and then they re-wrestled, and Lewis won the re-wrestle.
That is my understanding as well, Ben.
Okay.
We're not going to crack this caper here.
You never know. We got a lot of cool people in the chat. We might.
Yeah, seriously.
We might get down to it. By the end of the show, we might really have a real answer.
Yeah. So, what I've been trying to say, but then we're getting all these juicy Facebook comments. We're doing a new project about the toughest bracket ever, the toughest NCAA bracket of all time. So we're working on that, and then as a fun exercise and in attempts to continue to have a show with some level of content within it, we're gonna go through year over year and kind of declare what was the toughest weight this year, and maybe the top 2 or 3 toughest weights for NCAA weights, starting with 2019 and working our way back, and then kind of saying, okay, here, let's see what really was the toughest weight in our mind, and kind of see how it matches up with the opinions that we've reached otherwise. So I think this will be fun to discuss, and an interesting way to look at the brackets, especially as you try to say, okay, which was the toughest, which was the weakest. It's like you have who these guys were then, like Spencer Lee was a one-time champ going into 2019, and now he's a two-timer, and now, with another, quote, All-American finish, right? So it's like who they were then and then went on what they went on to be. So there's
That's why I wanted to make sure that we discussed that. It was who they were at the time of the tournament. So, for example, Jordan Burroughs, 2007, 149 pounds. I mean, that Jordan Burroughs was 16-13 that year. He's not the greatest American wrestler of all time. Right, big difference, obviously.
Yes, so that is a big difference. But I do think what they go on to become is notable. Is not something that they should be outright dismissed.
It should, for that year in that bracket, it kind of should be. I feel like why their future is irrelevant to that weekend in time. I mean, it may look better eventually, or maybe 1 year later. Like, one thing that I think was cool about my bracket is that the following year, Perry went down in 1 and Herbert went up in 1, showing that they were all really good.
Exactly.
But what someone does, what Jordan Burroughs does in 2017 is irrelevant to 2007.
Well, okay, not 2017. Okay, yeah. I'm saying, Jordan won the next year, right? After he got third. And Bubba eventually would be an NCAA champ. Those things matter, right? Those things matter, in my opinion. JPO, Ronaldo.
Sure, but it is important to realize who they were that week, literally that weekend, right? That's who's wrestling is who showed up that weekend, not who they become, 5 years later. And maybe they're like, say Burroughs, say he didn't win in 2011, and then he goes on to win a world title, right? Or say Kyle Snyder when he lost to Kyvan Getz, and then goes on to win a world title. Yeah, like that shows the level he was at. So I think that's an important to note, even though, maybe it wasn't that weekend. It was very, very shortly after.
Right.
Hey, got an update on what happened.
Okay.
So they met in the trials finals, okay? And
is it 2 or 3 at this point?
Yes. And Lewis gets a pin in the first of 3, okay? Then Leroy won the second match, but Lewis protested. Okay. A committee viewed videotapes of that match and ordered it re-wrestled. So that must be when they did the re-wrestle. Then Smith won the rematch, and Lewis defaulted after being injured, or that's probably there. Smith won the rematch, and Lewis defaulted after being injured during the third and final match. Smith went on to win 2 other matches and was named to the Olympic team.
So that wasn't...
Wait.
So he wrestled after?
What?
Yeah, there's more to this, because there were like 2 other people involved that they had to... So then nearly a week later, Lewis filed a demand for arbitration, claiming his second win against Smith should not have been overturned. An arbitration judge in Chicago ordered Smith and Lewis to re-wrestle the last 84 seconds of the second match. Lewis won that session, defeated another opponent, and gained the Olympic team berth.
What in the heck?
This sounds like a disaster. I thought this was the final 2 or 3.
They had to beat someone else. They both had to beat somebody else after winning. I don't know.
Why was there... This is why
we need to do this.
Yeah, why haven't you done this yet, Christian? We're putting this on you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Just an incredible quote, though, from Leroy Smith Sr. after... So then Leroy protested to a federal court judge 4 days before the Olympics.
Oh, my gosh.
Started.
What?
And they had a hearing, and the judge is like, I can't throw out that arbitrator's ruling. Like, I don't have the authority to do that. So this literally wasn't decided until 4 days before the Olympics. But Leroy Smith Sr. said, God didn't promise us justice on this earth. He said, I will tell my son that the best thing to do now is go to church, say a prayer, and then go fishing.
Oh, man. Amen.
Wow.
He's right.
That's wild.
You can kind of figure out how these Smith guys are so...
I've heard amazing. this Kozak said it was ladder matches. Did you guys hear? This was totally to me. But 5 had to beat 4, then 4 had to beat 3, 3 had to beat 2, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah,
so they could wrestle like 10 matches. But so were Randy Lewis and Leroy Smith not number 1 and 2? So they must have been like 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 or something like that.
Yeah, they must have been like 2 or 3.
That's weird. So who's number 1 at this point in time?
Well, they keep saying Delegata and. Who's the name that keeps coming up?
Yeah,
Ricky Delegata and Daryl Burley
and Delegata.
Okay.
Yeah.
Holy cow! This is a total mess.
Can
you imagine if that happened now? I mean, it's sort of.
Oh, it was a round robin. It was a round robin. What?
So was this on Turniflex?
So go ahead, Ben.
Burley was pulled into the round robin instead of Delegata. If Lewis had won at the trials, Delegata would have been pulled in. Other than Burley because Lewis and Smith had defeated Burley. This was not a ladder. They said it was not a ladder match now. Like the WWE when Mick Foley jumps off the ladder onto the table. Boom! Right there. That's what they hit him with. Ladder match.
I'm really glad that's not how we determine our world and Olympic team anymore.
Yeah.
Much as
you guys need to you guys should really do a video on this, Christian.
You think so? Oh, video? No. We shouldn't write an article about it.
I don't know. I think an article format lends itself better to this story.
Yeah. It'd be great to read the words instead of hear them. Okay. Do you want to look at 2019, or are we just giving up on this? We've got it out here. We can just
No, we're gonna do it. Christian, listen, we're gonna do it at some point, but. This has been a juicy story. I have long wondered what actually happened in the Randy Lewis, Leroy Smith. And I've heard these bits and pieces over the course of time, but I've never heard the entire story. And I've always been curious as to what happened. And we're getting some really juicy bits and pieces in the chat today. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
Yeah. But
we can go. 2019.
Mariah Hewer said, "Thank God for Final X." Yes.
Praise be. Although that kind of got jacked up when they rewound the review an entire minute.
Well, yeah.
that
wasn't Final X's fault.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. That was like, well, we're not going to follow the rules on this one. But anyway. But we ended up getting a Final X in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. That was kind of fun.
It lasted 6 minutes.
It was a 6-minute. That place was packed. It's kind of epic, but not an ideal situation, especially for anyone other than fans. It was a great situation for fans because it gave us something to discuss. But all right, 2019 NCAA wrestling tournament. What was the toughest weight? I think we kind of know the answer in this instance.
It's easy. Yeah, we know. Let's go 2018.
No, Ben, stop. You're not a helpful co-host right now. You're being harmful. You're harming me. Okay, so John Smith actually declared 133 like one of the toughest weights he's ever seen ever, right? So let's just look at it. And not only does this weight have high-end talent, it is deep with really legit dudes. So first place, the winner, in probably the most controversial fashion. It's the most controversial NCAA final since, I don't know.
Long time.
Name a more controversial NCAA final.
Hendricks Trail was way more controversial.
Oh my gosh. That was
a long time ago.
That was audacious.
John Smith, by the way, called this the deepest I've ever seen any weight ever in my coaching career.
Yeah. He would know. Been around the block. So this weight had Nick Suriano, who defeated Dayton Fix in sudden victory 2, I believe. If you remember this not to bring up old stuff, but you had a couple really controversial things. One, You had an early challenge for hands to the face that Oklahoma State challenged against Soriano. They did not win that. And then in tiebreakers, Dayton had both legs in, had Soriano flattened out, and with 9-ish seconds left, they called a stalemate when it was a scenario where like Soriano was not getting away but they gave him the restart, quick sit out, he gets away to get his escape. Then you have the infamous kind of headgear pull to the single leg that ended up deciding the winner. Yep. That gets challenged, but Oklahoma State didn't have any challenges, so the officials just took a challenge and looked at it, and then
Why did they do that?
That was the weird thing. It's like, if you didn't see anything, what are you challenging? And if you're challenging something, you clearly saw something. So what? It was a really weird time. But then they watched it and said,
it's hard to explain how they went and watched it and didn't see that.
Right. What were they looking for?
Right.
It was a totally bizarre way for that match to end. And of course, as we know, these guys basically can't take each other down.
Impossible.
It's basically impossible. And so Soriano's the winner of the toughest weight that year. So he beats Dayton Fix. Micic is third. This is a guy that's qualified for the Olympics. Luke Pletcher was fourth. The next year he would go on to be the 1 seed at NCAAs at 141. Austin DeSantos fifth. Mm-hmm. Ernest D. sixth. He was kind of a surprise placing that high, but he was always on the level. Ethan Lezak, a previous finalist, was seventh. Roman Bravo Young, who's outstanding. This is why it's like, dude, RBY, I know he's gotten better since then, but it's like, we're going to look back and be like, RBY was outstanding, even this year, right? He had a really good season as a true freshman. So even though he was eighth, I think he adds, I think what he's gone on to do does add to bolster how tough this weight was, right? Because like you just have more, because okay, on the one hand, you get the opportunity to improve. I do understand that, but on the other hand, it's like you have more opportunity to show who you actually are as a wrestler and who you maybe were then, but because you only wrestled a handful of matches, only 20 to 30 matches, you only get so much chance to show how good you are or aren't. Right? Who you are. So what were you going to say, Ben?
Just keep going. I disagree with your sentiment, but it's okay.
Fine.
RBY barely got on the podium. They had
it's who they were that weekend.
Had a really close match with Mickey Philippi in the blood round, who had a winner with Dayton Fix that year.
Mickey Philippi had a crazy match against Gomez, who is, these are the notable DMPs. Chaz Tucker, who was undefeated this year. Montori Bridges, Austin Gomez, Mickey Philippi, and Tariq Wilson. Those are really, really good wrestlers. Yeah. So very good weight class. Other really good weight classes. I thought 74 was really good. Here's the top. For whatever reason,
I feel like it's kind of top heavy.
Yeah, but that matters, right? I mean, Valencia Hall, Amin McFadden. 65 was really good as well. With Makai, Chinzo, Marsteller, Wick. What?
I was just saying it obviously does matter, but then some of these brackets are able to go a lot deeper. Like when you get down to, I feel bad picking up some of these guys from being All-American, but like say a Skatska or a, Bryce Steyer. Like I don't think like, oh my gosh, compared to say a Roman Bravo Young, right? Big difference.
Big difference. Yeah, absolutely.
Or like a Chad Redditt 8th place. Like I feel like that's a really good 8th place finisher.
He was like the 20th seed.
Yeah. Dang it. Yeah.
I think it was like close to that.
He was a 16
I think he was literally 16, yeah.
And what was Shoop? Because Shoop beat him for 7th.
13.
Red
had that. Remember, he had a really rough year. He didn't place at Vegas.
Yeah.
But then he
made Big Ten finals.
Made the Big Ten finals. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's gonna be there in March.
Yeah, it it was like the most predictable. Okay, this guy. One, his path was pretty solid, I believe. Except I think he had Yanni early.
Yep.
Yanni in the second round. After he had Ian Parker first round. It drops down Willits, Kanan Store, and then Murin in the blood round. Who he's never lost to Murin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, Chad Red, very good. So yeah, 133, the toughest weight. Trying to think which other ones. I mean, I think 97 in hindsight looks pretty good.
Really?
I mean,
Christian, all year you talking about how bad that weight class was. Now you're saying in hindsight it looks good.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to.
You did all year. You talk trash.
Well, wait. This is Colin and Bo were really good. I mean, I'm looking at the top
I'm
guys.
saying literally for the last 7 years you've talked trash on 197.
Yeah. Okay. This is not a good weight. I'm sorry I said it. Ben Honus Green Ellis
Good.
got 8th.
Well, now that kind of bumps it up because didn't he win a U.S. Open or something?
He is very good at freestyle.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And then he went and played football at Syracuse for a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now he's back in wrestling.
Yeah, now he's back around. Is he at the PRTC?
Yeah.
Who isn't at the PRTC?
Me?
They got
Everybody's there.
just Bracky's the last wrestler.
The last holdout.
So they've got Lezak, they've got Mark Hall, Jordan Burroughs, Ben Honus, Dave McFadden, Joey McKenna,
Deep.
Bajrang, Sidakov.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah.
Stop.
Please correct me, Ben. Stop me where I'm wrong. Yeah. Okay. 141 was really good this year as well. Yanni, Joey McKenna,
Yeah.
Ironman, Demas, Nick Lee 5th, and then, kind of McKee, Shoop, Red. It's like, okay. But then Cade Brock, Darian Perry, Josh Albert, Tristan Moran, Mikey Carr, Ian Parker, Kanan Store, all DMP.
Deep weight class.
Yeah, very deep weight. Okay. All right, want to go to questions? Do we do this?
Oh.
No, we're not going to
Okay,
2018. We don't have it's helpful to have the stats for the guys.
Well, I'm kind of looking through. Gun to your head. I'll tell you, it's probably 125.
Okay, go through it.
Well, 125 has Lee, Soriano, Cruz, and Tomasello as a top 4. Even in the 7th, 8th place match, you have Bresser and Moisey, so they're it goes pretty deep as well. 33 wasn't quite as deep. Remember, you had Tariq Wilson, and so this would be one where I would think his future lack of success kind of weighs down the performance here, maybe makes the bracket look worse. 41, you have Yanni as a freshman winning it. That was a really solid bracket. But then I think, like a Darian Perry, again, never had any future success. Nick Lee was still really young. I believe he was a freshman also. 49, Rutherford versus Ronnie Perry. That bracket fell apart. You had an 11 versus 15 in the semis. I think it wasn't that great. So it's definitely not that one. Then you got Hidley Nolf in the finals, 57. That weight class was actually relatively deep. But I think there's no one really challenging Nolf, which takes away from it. 65, Chenzo. I think you can make a decent argument for this, but these guys were all younger. So Joseph was a freshman when he upsets Isaiah. You got Marinelli losing to Isaiah in the semis. You also have Marsteller, Wick, Chandler Rogers. It's a pretty good bracket. 74, Valencia Hall, Daniel Lewis, Miles Amin. Pretty good. But then you have David Koser and Joe Smith at 7th place match. You got Nickel beating Miles Martin. That weight class also has the Ripper Chip Ness in the 7th place match. Machiavello beat Jared Hott.
Oh,
good
no.
job.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Kyle Cannell made the semis. Not a very good weight class there. Heavyweight, you got Kuhn, Casper, Desi, and Adam Kuhn in the semis. So I think it's 125. Just kind of real quick glance through it all.
Yeah, I think at 3 total NCAA champions in it, and then 4 after Soriano won. So Cruz was a returning champ. Nato was a previous NCAA champion. Lee won it. He was a champ. And then Soriano we all knew. And not to mention, Nick Piccinini's in there. He was super, super good. Bresser literally beat Spencer that year.
A young Sebastian Rivera.
A young Seabass who was just beginning to enter his thick bass form. Now he's gone on to be, he was a likely pick to be an NCAA champion. This is one you could look back. Man, Seabass could have won a title last year. And then we look at this bracket and it has 5 different NCAA champions, right?
Yeah, very good.
And plus Lezak and Moisey were both NCAA finalists. So you could have had 5 champs, 2 other finalists. That would be super duper solid. And that is an amazing weight class. Holy cow. And Nick Soriano was out for so much of the year and then defaulted out of Big Tens. I remember us watching him at NCAAs like warming up, and it was like, oh man, he actually looks really, really good. Very impressive.
I feel like this maybe is a bad series because it caused us to crap on a bunch of really good wrestlers because we're trying to pick the best bracket. So we kind of got to put down some guys who took like 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th as reasons why they shouldn't win.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, that would be your...
A little bit. You have to say one person is better than the other person or one bracket is better than the other bracket because this guy is better than this guy. You do kind of have to say it.
Okay.
A little bit.
You got... Yeah, to be honest. Well, that's a low threshold. Jason Surts... So 49 is interesting because you got Surts. He won NCAAs in 2014. Yeah, very clearly 125 is the baddest weight class of all. That weight is going to hold up amongst all the other great weights, I think. It's going to be tough to beat. All right. Let's go to questions, man. Question. I don't want to do any more years.
No more years.
No more years. No more tears.
We tried.
Yeah. Dump it. Okay. Someone had a great question about Cormier, and it didn't make it in here. But basically, the question is essentially the odds that Daniel Cormier. It's not really a question; it's more of a topic. This guy hit basically 2 GOATs in his various careers. He ran up against Kale in his NCAA career and John Jones in his UFC career. Like, talk about, I don't know, I won't say unlucky or anything, but just timing. That is sort of strange that he would run it. I mean, John Jones, is there any doubt, Ben, that he's the greatest mixed martial artist ever? Or do you...
Oh, there's definitely doubt.
There's doubt?
Yeah, because of all his...
He's never lost.
Enhancing stuff. But there's such a cloudy thing. I mean, he's failed multiple drug tests. Obviously, I believe only one of them has been for performance enhancing. The other one was from recreational. Mm-hmm. And then obviously he's been stripped of the belt multiple times. So,
yeah. Okay.
When you
so who's in contention for the greatest mixed martial artist ever?
This. So I think Daniel's out. I think
if you say GSP, okay.
What? Because you're saying there's a cloud around him? Are you accusing GSP of doing?
I'm not accusing him of anything, but listen, if we're talking.
He never failed the test.
Okay, either did Lance Armstrong.
John actually did fail a test though.
Yeah, I know.
Very literally 4 PEDs. So I think that that carries a heavy cloud. So I think Khabib, Amanda Nunes, DJ, of course. And then there's this like cloudy area where like for example, Anderson Silva's run that he was on was one of the best ever. But then obviously since then he's fallen off, and then obviously since then he also has a failed PED test. So I actually did this a couple weeks back, and I had 7 people on my list. Henry, I think, can be included in the list because he beat DJ and because he won the belt at multiple weight classes. So I think there's like really good arguments to be made for multiple people. John Jones is obviously one of those people. And if it were not for the failed drug test and the being stripped multiple times, I think John Jones is a very clear number 1. But because of those things, he's not a clear number 1 anymore. He's a number 1 with a cloud over it.
Yeah, I definitely can see DJ and Henry in the mix. I mean, well, actually, I think DJ's disqualified after losing to Henry. Personally,
well, but everyone loses at the end. That's when you want to include.
But it's not like a win over Anderson Silva now. I think DJ was at the height of his powers, right?
But he had already won. I mean, I think he had already set the record for consecutive title defenses at the time, which I believe was 11. Or maybe, him and Anderson were tied, I think. Let me just look up. I'll just tell you how many consecutive title defenses he had at that point. So before losing to Henry, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including a win over Henry, obviously, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So he had 11 title defenses successful, and he had obviously won the fight before that. And I believe that's tied to Anderson Silva for the most consecutive title defenses. Obviously, John Jones hasn't done that or been very close because he's had to re-win the belt because of PED stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting discussion, but for Cormier's purposes, I think it is unique, and yet he still was like, if he had beaten Stipe, there was a lot of GOAT talk with Daniel. If he had won this 2 out of 3 with Stipe.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I'm looking at John Jones because let's see. So he won the belt here. So he defended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, but then is stripped. Let's see. Then he wins it again, but then is stripped again. So he didn't even defend it at the time. He won it and then was stripped. Oh my gosh, wait, what's this? Originally a KO, but was overturned because he stripped again. I mean, that's 3 fights in a row. He stripped because he tested positive for a performance enhancer. Oh no, actually he tested twice positive for performance enhancers because this one he tested positive for clomiphene and letrozole, and the other one it was turinabol.
I'm not familiar with all this, but I know turinobol's not good. Okay.
Yeah.
Next up.
I mean, you want to put a cap on that one? I mean, the cap I would put on it, Christian, is how many people actually reach those high levels in multiple sports, and the answer is, I don't know. Name someone else besides Daniel and Henry.
You're pretty close. Well, I guess you weren't pinnacle of wrestling, yeah.
I mean, yeah,
because they were world.
Well, I mean, but then if you talk about Cale versus Daniel, that's at the collegiate level.
Oh, true.
Right, because they never wrestled internationally because Daniel went up a weight class. I mean, I guess you could. And Henry obviously wouldn't, he was an Olympic medalist, but I don't think he would be in the GOAT talk. And obviously, when you're talking Cale, you're talking American folk-style wrestling GOAT, right? That's what we're talking about for Cale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's very unique with Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, extremely. He's the man.
Maybe jiu-jitsu. Are there any GOATs in jiu-jitsu that have went on to really, really highly successful MMA careers?
I don't think so. I mean, Silva was good at jiu-jitsu, obviously, but I don't think he was winning like
Silva?
IBJ Anderson, sorry.
No, he was never that high level. I mean,
right, that's what I'm saying. He was good at jiu-jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he was like, I mean, I don't know. Did BJ Penn have any jiu-jitsu accolades?
He was BJ Penn was very high level. I don't know about as far as being the best, and this is like where I would be. I know Marcel was the best ever for a while. Hodger Gracie obviously was, also can be considered one of the best ever, but never really reached a super high level in MMA. Marcel never really fought, but then beyond that, I would have to consult some jiu-jitsu experts to tell me like who were the best of the best.
Yeah, basically, I don't think any of the jiu-jitsu GOATs have had real success. I think there's guys with jiu-jitsu backgrounds that have been good, like the Diaz brothers, really good, Anderson, etc. But no, it hasn't really happened. I think. Buchecha, have you heard of him? Marcus Buchecha Almeida.
He's really good.
He's extremely good, heavyweight, and he just signed with one. I'm pretty sure.
But he had fought previously with maybe Strikeforce.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Don't quote me on that. Let me just check.
He's one of the closeout guys.
Closeout boys.
What's a closeout?
He's one of the guys that he makes a finals and then he forfeits to his friend, or maybe his friend will forfeit to him in the world finals because it's a jiu-jitsu thing. I don't know.
You don't like that, huh?
No. What the heck?
Hate it.
It's a world championships. It's like, it's my friend. They literally took turns, I think. It's terrible. One bracket bin at Worlds had closeouts in the semis and the finals. So there were no semis and no finals in an entire bracket.
Wow. Okay,
Shameful.
so I'm looking through. I know Andre Galvao has reached a really high level in jiu-jitsu. He kind of struggled in MMA, but he was really, really high level in jiu-jitsu. Braga Neto, again, same thing, high level jiu-jitsu, but really, didn't have a great MMA career. Roger Gracie, we talked about him, obviously.
Royce Gracie, right?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know about jiu-jitsu in the mid-90s. I couldn't tell you who the best of the best was.
Do.
So obviously now, I have no idea. Gordon Ryan and Gary Tonin will be interesting to see the level of success they have now. I mean, I think one of the other reasons maybe you don't see the best of the best in jiu-jitsu crossover is kind of now, what you're seeing with wrestlers is they're actually making a good enough income in their said sport, which is jiu-jitsu or wrestling now, where they're not really needing to cross over. Whereas like in my era or Daniel's, we didn't want to live at poverty level, so we made that crossover.
Dylan Dennis could be the next great.
Oh, for God's sakes, he wasn't that good at jiu-jitsu. He's a bum.
Him or AJ?
He was really good at wrestling, though.
AJ got his ass whipped. Did you see that? To buy someone who wasn't even very good. For God's sakes, I can't. You guys put him on air, or don't you?
He's a pretty prominent jiu-jitsu figure. He fights on some of our events.
He's a bum. He's 3-2 in his MMA career.
That's okay.
No, it's not okay when you're fighting bums.
Well, I don't know. I don't know enough about MMA to know who is and isn't a bum. But
okay.
you would know. So there you go. How many Bitcoin would it take for Ben Askren to dive in a shark cage?
Oh, shark! I don't think you're in danger in a shark cage, are you?
No, but what is since when does rationality enter the shark equation with you, Ben? You're very irrational about this.
Well, I'm not bull crap. I'm irrational, Christian. I don't want to get my shark. That's a rational thought. I am very logical. If I'm in a cage and I am protected, I don't need anything. I would do that.
You would just do it.
Yeah, I'm logical, Christian. If it's an actual cage and I'm not going to get eaten, yes, I would do it.
Oh my goodness. I'm really
what?
I'm confounded.
I don't want to get eaten by a shark. What do you mean you're confounded? It's easy.
The odds of you getting
tell him
eaten by you're not going to get eaten by a shark.
Those cages they're not trustworthy.
See, he won't get in the cage.
I
trust him.
If they're not trustworthy, I'm not going in.
They get through there sometimes.
They do not. What, little sharks?
I've seen it.
What, Jaws 2? What are you talking about?
No.
All right, we got to get to the bottom of this, but I would love to get in a shark cage. I think that'd be
if it's a safe shark cage, I'm in. If it's a not trustworthy one, like Brecky says, I'm not.
Look at this. Great white shark cage breach incident. Look at that thing. It's just in the middle of it going crazy. 18-foot shark attacks cage.
He can attack the cage.
No, he's in it, CP. Like, what are you talking about? He just came up through it.
Get these it's just, it's fine. Nothing happens.
That guy's getting eaten, Christian. He's getting eaten. That man.
He was not eaten.
He's in there.
He's going to get eaten.
Oh, this is fun. This is
fine. Everyone's freaking out.
They're just a little nervous because there's a shark. He breached the shark cage technically.
Look, these guys are getting ready to dive in. They're taking off their hats.
What are they
going to
doing?
do something? Oh my god!
Oh my gosh, that thing's bleeding like crazy. He got out. Shark's fine. The guy's fine.
You don't know that was the shark's blood. It's probably the guy's blood. He probably ate him.
I don't see a pool of blood. All right, I would do it. I'm braver than you guys, and that's all there is to it.
You think you know the sharks. You think you're friends with them until they eat your face off.
I don't think I'm friends with them. I just think they would not be interested in eating me. Okay. This guy, Hookah John, really wants Max Dean's nickname to be Max the Demon. And I really
such a bad nickname.
I just have to veto it as best I can.
That's a terrible idea.
That's a terrible nickname. So one, I just want to say that Hookah John, but also he says, what's a bigger upset, Gabe Dean over Ed Ruth or Max the Demon over Miles Martin? I think it's Dean over Ruth still to this day.
Yes, I agree. People forget Ed Ruth was almost unbeatable for multiple years there.
Yeah, he had won like, I don't know, a lot of matches in a row.
But then they had like a really close match at NCAA's.
I know, but at the
time, Max like wasn't even in the same ballpark as Miles.
Yeah.
Like, he almost got teched by him.
I know,
That's
but
true also.
the reverence in which
It was
Ed
more
Ruth
shocking at the time, for sure.
Gabe, that happened in the NCAA semis, right? Like, if you're in that match, it's like, all right. Gabe Dean was a freshman whose best win, I don't even know what it was. I don't even know what his best win was. He was crossface cradled and pinned in like the first period when he wrestled Gabe that year. And then he beats him like 9-6. What? So I'll say it's that one. Just because of the Ed Ruth factor.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I can see why you would say Max over Miles is more surprising, just because we weren't even watching that match. We were just like, what's happening on the other side? And then all of a sudden, Max is in on a single. He's what? What's this? Serial killer lives with sharks?
No, it's just
We've lost Kyle from the show. He's just gone.
I was talking while I was watching.
He's gone.
Listen, these people go in cages all the time. They get attacked.
Yes, they do. Ben Askren, if a movie director called you up and said he wanted to do a movie about you, which wrestler or actor would have to play Ben Askren? What would the main story
I'm playing
be?
myself, bro.
Oh, of course.
Or Will Ferrell, maybe. Will Ferrell.
He's too tall.
My favorite.
He's like 6'3",
Yeah.
6.
Just put other tall people in there, and then it looks normal.
You're scaring our.
Ben, you need to be on Shark Week 2021. I feel like you're a big enough celebrity to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, tell Discovery Channel that I'm coming on Shark Week.
All right.
We'll tell him. We're publicly announcing right here.
Tweet him
Put him on.
to get over my phobia of sharks.
Yes. Best microwavable food. This is an interesting question from Pops Redfoot. I think
Why would anyone want if you could do it? If you could cook the food a different way, why wouldn't you want to cook the food a different way?
Yeah. So what's the best? The best food to microwave are like liquids, like a good chili, right? Something that if you
Why wouldn't you
microwave
cook that on the stovetop though?
It's already cooked. It's already made. Okay, so it's leftover. You're getting it out of the fridge. The chili's already made. Okay, you're not going to remake it. Okay, so I think microwaves are strictly for leftovers in general.
I don't know. I'm gonna answer no.
I don't really. Popcorn.
I do have
Popcorn.
Max. Max doesn't have a microwave.
He doesn't.
He's like I don't believe he didn't for a while. I don't think he still does. It's kind of like it's kind of like Cal Dake type stuff.
Is that like the fireman's carry of household appliances to Max? It's like just no non-starter, can't have it.
That's funny. Max is he also for I think he's over it now, but for a long period of time he had no paper towels in his house.
Really?
Yes, you'd have to use like a towel if something spilled or it was issues.
Paper towels are more hygienic than like reusing the same towel over and over again.
I would make that argument as well.
Yeah. That's the argument no argument to be had. Okay, last question. I'm going to start a war here. I don't care.
Uh-oh.
From Nikki Flo. Take Me Home Country Roads is about the western part of Virginia, not West Virginia. Not a question, just wanted to let Kyle know.
It's an incredibly stupid take. The Shenandoah River literally runs through West Virginia as well.
Right. But the Blue Ridge Mountains are almost exclusively in Virginia.
Well, you can see them from the mountains in West Virginia.
But you can't be in them.
No, I mean, who cares? We're arguing semantics right here. If he wanted to make the song about Virginia, he wouldn't have said West Virginia. He just would have left off the west part. So John never knew what he was doing.
R.I.P. R.I.P. to a legend. All right. Let's get the heck out of here. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Wow, you're giving up early today, Christian.
I'm tapping. I'm tapping.
So listen, you better be ready to do a bunch of brackets tomorrow. We're gonna do a bunch of them.
Okay, we're gonna plow through them, and then we gotta figure out who's gonna replace you next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Who do you want to replace
Bader? I mean, obviously, Bader's one of my favorite people, so that's an easy choice.
Easy choice for Ben. Okay,
Cancel his own show. Come on, FRL.
I was about to say that means he's doing like 3 hours of studio time in a row.
He'll get up in the morning, but he's not going to be pumped about we get here 7 o'clock, 6:30. I don't know how pumped he would be for that, but that's okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. 540 episodes down. Who knows how many to go. Cannot wait for tomorrow. Hope you guys have a good Wednesday. Thank you to Ben. Thank you to Kyle. See you soon. Thank you and goodbye.
Peace.